Hello, internet. See if I have audio. I might have audio. Looks like I have audio. And it's good to see that people are here. If at some point I don't have audio or something else is fucked up, let me know in the chat. Because nowadays the chat is working fine. So it actually works. It works so well that MD Ridoy decided to bomb it with some spammy links. And he is now banned. So that's that. It's interesting how people invest their time and effort. Well, I should see it as fantastic, I suppose, that this stream merits their attention. So feel special, everyone, because they want your attention. And these days attention is expensive, as you know, and stuff. I see that we have some familiar faces here. GK, Matthias, Alex, Jane, Sylvia, and even Walter. And I'm sure some more people, but yeah, I'll try to pay attention, because today it's just me. It's not the tree of destruction that sometimes is here. And Bean. Actually, I am drinking from my Fenris mug that I got from a friend for black coffee. And it is black coffee. I'm gonna have some black beer soon. Today it is the 25th of January. So we're almost a month into the new year. Not been crazy active as of late. What can I say? For those who don't know, is that I am active in two bands. Netherbird is like the hello Daniel is the I guess more known one, and we have concluded mixing and mastering the 6th album RIKET, which will be released, as it seems, by the end of May. But you never know. It's COVID time, so stuff can happen, and the most crucial part is actually that vinyl there's a long delay from that you send the stuff till you get the vinyls. So for various reasons, that can sometimes hamper the release date of stuff. Are you ready, Nephente? I am, I think, always ready. Or never ready, maybe is more the proper term, actually. But I am doing fairly well as one can expect. It's gloomy days in Stockholm because the winter here. Now we actually got some snow again, but when I grew up, winter tended to be like a snowy affair. So we had lots of snow and was generally cold from December to March. These days, winter comes later, and it's not to be 100% trusted. So the snow you get tend to melt, and then you get more snow. So it's more sludge season than anything else. That's a very long post, okay. I think better send it to me. I think. Because I'm not gonna be ready to read all of it. Too much, actually. Yeah, well, I will have to address that, I think, offline, to be honest. I am doing okay. It is a little bit of this gloom, because it's been a fairly long journey from the autumn to spring, and normally I find it to be pretty boring, to be honest. Okay, I think we need to talk about that. We are all different, and that is just how it is. And it's perfectly fine to join me and my talks, but I cannot curate them, really. So it's always a choice you have to make. Either you enjoy it and you hang out here, or you don't enjoy it, and that's it. I am doing this for my own pleasure, and to sit and talk for hours. Sometimes you say stuff that not everybody appreciates, and sometimes you say stuff that you shouldn't have said. But it's impossible for me to guarantee anything other than I try to keep a good tone and stuff. But we're all different. We interpret things different. Don't take it too seriously, I would say. Because this is just casual talk. So it is what it is. But I'm doing fine. It's been, like I said, it's been a very long journey, I think, for me personally, and I think for everybody. And I'm starting to become a little bit tired of this constant limbo that we're in. So I'm really much looking forward to spring on this part of the planet, where it will be at least, I think, easier. And I also think when the vaccine gets out there, I think it will also help quite a bit, actually. And then I can't say that things will go back to normal. I mean, there is no point in even guessing what that's supposed to happen. But I would think that at least we can have concerts on some level again in by summer, or at least autumn, and that I'm pretty much looking forward to, actually. Especially actually just to be able to go out and get new impressions, and to go out and have just the feeling of a live band on a stage again, especially on the small venues. I've never been super keen on these huge concerts, stuff like that, but I really miss those underground gigs and miss mid-sized club gigs, because I think that is, for me, very vital. More vital than I ever knew, actually. It's I took it for granted, and I also thought that it's fun, but I can do whatever. But now when I can't go, I really miss it, and it's important for me, and I think for everybody who's joining this little chit chat. I think you all appreciate music and the underground aspects of music, and the streams, they are coming now, and they're becoming more and more advanced and more sophisticated, but to me it will never be as good as going to an actual gig, and to feel the sweat and feel the closeness of people and the band, and just the smell of a great underground gig. I miss that. I also realized that since I actually stopped smoking, it's been a long time now, I can smell a lot of stuff again. And then I actually realized that I miss the old smell of the smoke machines, or the fog machines. Because these days, they are, I think, less deadly, so they don't smell as much. But I miss that old weird smell. I don't know how old you guys are. It's a big spread, I would guess. But those of you that are in my age, you realize that the smoke in those days, it was thicker, but also, I'm sure, deadly. So they banned it, and they exchanged it for this more modern one. but I can really, I miss that smell. But I'm weird, so I like the smell of petrol, and for instance, now I got the smell back. So that's what's happening in my life. What are you guys up to? What's yeah, I miss sweat and smoke. I do, but not only. But I miss to be in the environment where people actually sweat and where there is smoke. Yeah, who would have guessed? But it's always like that. You don't know what you got until it's gone. To paraphrase, which band did that song? Don't know what it got until it's gone. Is it Cinderella? It is, right? I think so, because then he goes up to this Cinderella screeching vocals. He's super cool, by the way. What a fucking vocalist. Not very melodic. Still working on my band's demo. Hopefully we finish it after Spotlovet. Yeah, the sort of the sport break that we have in Sweden, which is it's a week off school. In the US you have like spring break and such stuff, but here we have like a sport break. Otherwise I'm studying marine biology. Cool. That sounds actually kind of fun. Is there a lot of like excursions outdoors, or is it mainly theory? Enlighten me. Anybody else here? Tell me one thing you miss about concerts. One word each. I miss, obviously, well, that's 3 words. Sweat and smoke. But if I have to pick one, then I missed smoke. Sweat I can live without. It's okay. As for the upcoming Netherbird album, it's gonna be, I think, a single released maybe, I guess, late April. So until then I have to sort of keep you guys in suspense, and myself also. An album is a strange creature, especially when you've done a few. You sort of give up on the idea that you're supposed to, know what an album is going to be. You try to steer it. Everybody in the band tries to steer it in some direction, but it becomes what it becomes. So it's like the sum of all the stuff you put in there and something else that is just either happening or not happening. And you also have a producer who will put his or her touch to it as well, and it's just also the guitar sound become a little bit different each time. The vocals come out a little bit different each time, so it's not like a precision craft. So and this album, going into it, I have to say I like the demos, but it was not as good as I think it actually became. The process this time actually made the album many times more interesting to me than I thought from the basic structures. But I've also had the serious disappointments. I remember one song where we were all so convinced it was fantastic, and then when we recorded it, that didn't become as great as the other ones. Well, okay, I will keep talking, and I will do it the way I do. Like I said, I try to refrain from the worst stuff, but I can't make any promises. So it is what it is. We'll see then. So let's see. On the topic of marine biology, mainly theory, outside explorations and dive and such. That is cool. And I almost thought so, that it needs to be a lot, ocean-based, right? So do you do scuba diving? I've done some scuba diving. It's been not so super long ago, but it's been long ago since I did it seriously and like did deeper dives and stuff like that. In Sweden, scuba diving is it's a cold thing because water is cold always here, and especially when you go deeper. But if you're there to study stuff, of course, then you have to. You miss energy and atmosphere. Yeah, those are two words that I think are lacking from the live streams I've seen. I've seen live streams that I think have been really, impressive, interesting, but not mysterious really, or this feeling that I can get, on a perfect live gig. You get almost this sense that something unexpected could happen, that you're sort of balancing, and especially in the older days when security was bad and shit, then you really didn't know what to expect. But you can still get that sort of feeling that everything is like urgent and critical, and that is what I love, especially with underground gigs. Because if you go to a huge stadium show and you watch Rammstein, a bad example, they're always like surprising. But if you go and see Maiden, you know it's gonna be great because it's super well rehearsed and it's like a machine there. But if you go and see an underground black metal gig, you don't know if it's gonna be chaos or well rehearsed or whatever. It's to me still that is what it's about. Things being a bit unpredictable, if it's done well. Serenity, who doesn't miss that? Agreed. Sweating together also. Yeah, I think there's something there when a crowd that sees a band and shares that moment when it's not so super well organized, and it's like you're in this very special moment, and those gigs can become fantastic, but gig 1 and gig 2 can be very different. If you go and see Iron Maiden, I love them, so no critique there, but on that level every night is going to be more or less the same because it follows a script. A good black or death metal gig follows no script. Anything can happen, and the audience can fuck up or be gentle or whatever. You never know. I mean, I've been attacked on stage. That's unpredictability. I'm not saying it's fantastic, but at least it's it's memorable. And that happens very seldom to Bruce Dickinson, that some mosh guy with blood all over him, will storm the stage and actually, manage to punch him. But, we live and learn. Let's see. Scuba, yeah. Diving in Sweden is quite dull at times, but we have fun, small organisms. Yeah, I mean, I don't scuba dive in Sweden for pleasure because it's fucking cold, and it's you need a lot of equipment and stuff. But I love scuba diving when it's warm, like in the Indian Ocean or in the Mediterranean. Then I really like it actually, and I like also just snorkeling, like free diving. I really like that feeling. But if you have a purpose, of course, and to explore, I mean, the ocean is like the biggest part of the planet, and it's the one we know not so much about. Live streams, you're just a viewer. At the gig, you're part of a larger thing with the crowd. Yes, exactly. Like Alex also. So, when I'm at an Iron Maiden gig, once again, whatever I contribute there doesn't really matter much. But I can sing along, and when you're 10,000 that do the intro of Fear of the Dark, that's a magical thing. But if you've 1 out of 50 people and you really enjoy an underground gig, you really are a big part of the whole experience. So that's really cool. Should new bands have a concept album as their debut album? Whoa. Well, if that's the album you need to make, then that's the album you should do. I am not a huge fan of concept albums, actually. I like the idea of things being stringed together. If you can do Operation Mindcrime, sure, you should do Operation Mindcrime. But these days, sadly, a lot of people will never hear the full album or pay attention. So you still will need, songs that can at least stand on their own feet and work, because that might be the only shot that you have. So people, it cannot be only working as a full piece. But I know, I'm sure 9 that you guys have seen on this stream now and then is he might be of a different opinion. Walter also, I haven't spoken to them. I will talk to the guest next week about that. It's a fun thought. I tend to not write albums like that, but in the end the songs still tend to be part of a bigger entity. So for instance, RIKET, the new album, is about this philosophical highest level, where excellence, sort of, and then it's different reflections I have on excellence and what that means. So there is a vague theme there, but it's not really a concept album, but a theme. So in my opinion, no, I don't think you have to. But if you really can have something, a story or a coherent idea, then explore it and see what happens. As you might remember, I spoke to Zorn from Zornheim. Their first album, their entire band is more or less a concept, actually. Not a concept in that sense. It's a real band, but they really worked hard on, making interwoven stories in between the songs about this asylum, which is Zornheim. So sort of everything, they really tied everything up. And in one way, but it requires tons of work. And sometimes but if you really enjoy it, then you should try it. Jane is also writing, if output you have to making, it is important. Yeah, that's true. My opinion, first rule, don't bother about my opinion, really. Or rather, you can listen to it and then you use it if you think it's useful. But in the end, art only has, it has to make sense to you. And then, hopefully it makes sense to someone else. If you think too much about what would make sense to someone else, the risk is that you don't make it for you, and then it won't be authentic or really good or something like that. Unless you're a professional, songwriter like Desmond Child or something like that, then your job is to make shit that works for other people. But for most of us, we mainly do it for ourselves, and that's tough enough. But I'm really happy that you guys write to each other also in the chat, because I think we are as a collective of thoughts. It's much more interesting than only my. In best case, I can be a catalyst, and we can start a conversation. But it's surely as important what's written in the chat, actually. Yeah, I guess we all have slightly different ideas on what if concepts are important or not. At least try to, if you make a concept album, don't make it about fucking COVID. I'm afraid there will be COVID concept albums coming out, and we all done with that. At least I am very done with it. In any case, it's nice to see that some faces, some familiar faces here are showing up now again and again, and I really appreciate that. Despite me, if I felt, if I sound sour, it's because I cannot make much guarantees when it comes to the content of this stuff, because I have no script. I just go, and then anything can happen. And especially when you have guests, because people talk about whatever they want to talk about, and that's how it is. But opinions are of course welcome. Now to some stuff. I've been thinking, because I've been mentioning a few classic albums that's been really important to me, and I will actually keep just telling a few more albums that I have personally benefited a lot from listening to. So I'll do that, and then I will also put up a few releases, and I will try actually with both video and sound, and we'll see if we get banned. If you are on YouTube, I think it should be fine. If you're on Twitch, it certainly will work. If it's on Facebook, there is always the risk that the stream will be interrupted. And if so be it, then so be it. But I will start with albums that I think were important. And just to recap. For me, stuff started really with the Grind Crusher EP, compilation. And I think this is where I found what I've been looking for some years then. You guys, today you don't have to be lucky to find one collection of songs, because now there are like tons of albums, and these are established genres, and there is just so fucking much to find, but in those days things were still new, and RIKET was a record label, is still a record label that put out some of the they really put out some of the really pioneering albums. I don't know Dig. I've heard a lot about this label, both good and bad, but I have no personal experience, so I really don't know anything about the label as such. But I know that it was very important to push music that mattered to me. I spoke about Harmony Corruption and Bolt Thrower. I don't know if I mentioned Blessed of the Sick, but this is a classic painting, and this is the second album with Morbid Angel. And in my opinion, maybe where they really took on the form of this avant-garde band that did things slightly different from everybody. But the first album, or like the first real album, Altars of Madness, it's more straightforward, really nice. But on this one, they really started to explore new paths and avenues. First, I really didn't like the drum sound. Everything sounded so strange and weird, but that's again because they were quite innovative. This album is one of the albums I've been listening to the most in my life, and also such an important thing for me is that it's an American band, but they really contributed stuff that I think was extremely important, especially in the beginning. I don't care so much about Morbid Angel today, other than as a live band they're incredible. But with an ever-changing lineup, depends on which incarnation of the band you get to see. But I saw them on Hellfest on a big stage, and they are, with Dave Vincent as a vocalist, they were really, this really big live act, like behemoth level of stuff. But I've seen them on smaller, venues, like small clubs throughout the decades, and they're always super good. But their albums, I lost, I think, interest after the fourth album. It started with Entangled in Chaos, and then I really haven't cared so much. But the first album's super cool, and this one especially, I think it stands out. This is Carcass, Necrotism. I came across Carcass before this album, but the previous two albums were more grindcore, actually, or today you would maybe call it something else, but really intense and really all over the place. And then this album came where they sort of picked up the more death metal orientation with more controlled production, extremely cool drumming, just, where everything came together. Then I lost interest again. But this one was really influential to my first band I was in. We really took inspiration from this. They sort of raised the bar. This is a band that really went from really chaotic, maxed out music to almost hard rock. They did this journey. Saw Carcass not long ago, 2017 I think, on Inferno. Yeah, must have been. And these days extremely professional, almost too professional. Carcass to me was always this supposedly gritty undergroundish band. But yeah, you can't complain that what, you don't like hard work. No, I like hard work. It's okay. But this is great. Hard work to me, they've become, it's too not extreme enough for me. But yeah. Strange favorite song with Morbid Angel, Hate Work. There might be or might not be reference to that on a new album. Oh, okay then, it's on. So I see that we also have Mr. 9 in the chat. I feel the pressure now. You guys should be on here talking, but now I get the chance to excel in my flawless taste in music. So I got that going for me. I like hard work. I like RIKET Putrefaction and Symphonies of Sickness for sure. I also love that we have a spammer again. But if this spammer is not spamming too many times, I won't bother muting it. Hey Mike. So blessed are the sick, or blessed are the sick, as some say, but blessed are the sick. Necrotism and My Dying Bride, As the Flower Withers. Fucking fantastic album, and what a debut album. They did an EP before this one, but this one was when doom metal finally became as great as it should be in my book, because I guess I'm a punk or something. I've always had I had a hard time listening to the likes of Candlemass when I was like 14, 15, because I hated the vocals. It was just too much of the expected, not brutal enough, or not, And then came these guys, took like the elements of death metal that I liked, but made it doom and put extreme vocals on top of it. Then it evolved into, Turn Loose the Swans with also clear vocals and stuff. But on this one, and it starts with the drum pattern of CME. Fucking fantastic. And song title like The Forever People, stuff like that. Fantastic. I actually painted their logo on my leather jacket, the old logo, the death metal-ish one. And to me, still to this day, from the trinity of these doom-stricken bands from the UK, you have My Dying Bride, Anathema, and Paradise Lost. My Dying Bride never disappointed me. They sort of Mateus, hey, they experiment, but they never fuck up. Sometimes they make albums that are not 100% as I like them, and then they go back and make a fantastic album. But they never sort of changed path into to pop or to pop, where Anathema and Paradise Lost been venturing into that area. And I know that some people fucking love that. I fucking don't. I have other pop bands that I can listen to. I want to keep my favorite bands may never change unless, you know, they change exactly like I want them to change. But My Dying Bride, amazing shit. Should have a talk about battle vests and jackets. Yeah, maybe I should. I am such a lousy person when it comes to that because I really don't have it. I used to have like pins on my leather jacket, but I think I was but I respect a greatly adorned battle vest where people really display your passion. I love that. I painted on my leather jacket. That's what I did. I guess we didn't have patches in those days or whatever. But I think it is a good topic for conversation. But I need some guests then that could actually, you know, contribute something, because it would be fucking awful if it was me showcasing my leather jacket, which is, and this is an awful part of my life, is that my mother borrowed it when she was going for a bike ride and then she cleaned it, as she said. So she actually she removed my paintings from my jacket. Thank you. So that sucked. She actually missed out on the cathedral one because it was very small. Yeah, it wasn't the best conversation afterwards, I can tell you that. But, you know, and but maybe, Alex, you get to talk about your battle vest, and I'll find some other people that have, you know, really awesome ones. And then, I mean, patches today, it's like a jungle. There's so much of it, and it's really cool to see the care that goes into these creations. Moms are good, but not when they use not when they kill your jacket. But then again, it is what it is. She's been supporting me through my strange first attempts in music, so I mean, yeah, it happens. I never told anyone. Oh, my wife actually, but other than that, I haven't been complaining so much about it. Still have the jacket here somewhere. Anathema, you love the evolution. Yeah, and I know, for instance, I also know that 9 is one of those people who think that Anathema really, you know, became better and better. And for me, it's... I really love their old stuff, but I also, I mean, I know that bands need to progress, and that's fine. But for me, it didn't really, they didn't progress in the way that I wanted them to. It went too quickly into something a bit too soft for me. But they are still fantastic musicians and still great songwriters, so no doubt about that. Rika. Hey. Rika, you recall this one, by the way? Yeah, you do. Let's see, check out Alex Deathway and see if she wants to be guest. She has a lot of videos on battle jackets. Okay, I will. If I dare to, because I'm a noob in that area. I sell patches, though. And give them away and stuff. But like I said, I sort of missed the train with the battle vest, and now it would look so weird if I made one, and every patch would be brand new. Okay, I'm sure there are ways to, you know, sand them so they look more worn. Yeah, I'll work on it. So 3 albums that, you know, but I mean, these are like classics. I mean, but I didn't know it then. But they became classics because, I mean, they were early, but they were also fucking great. And this is, but you didn't know it then. Then you took it for granted. It's fairly cool. Oh, a band called Carcass. Yeah, they seem cool. They've released 2 albums. They are very gory, and then they made an album that looks, yeah, okay. And speaking of, Another album that I've been listening to until it almost, I know every tone. This is obviously Anathema, the first full-length album. What was the first one? The EP is called Crestfallen, right? And then came Pentecost 3, Pentecost. Yeah. This one is perfect. It's all over the place. There's almost popish stuff on it. So I mean, it didn't become like a super surprise when they actually had more of a melodic avenue laid out for them. But Sweet Tears, for instance, fucking amazing. This album is almost perfection to me. Yeah, that's a few classics. I will keep pestering with classics, but now I will actually also give you some other stuff, and I will see if this works, because this is technology after all, so anything could happen. I'll see, and maybe it will. We'll see. This is, if I'm sure most of you have heard it, of this band, but it doesn't matter so much. I will try to be a very modern person here, and I will. It's going really well, right? Da 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 da. And here now we should be able to maybe. incredible stuff. It's hard to sample it, just such a short bit, but check out Ellende. It's artistry on the level where, I don't know, it's familiar, it's beautiful, it's harsh, but it's also, it has just this X factor of what can I say? It's beautiful and harsh, and in this contrast lies something to me that is very interesting. And Ellende really has it. It packs such a punch. Everything from like beautiful artwork to really captivating songwriting. I really adore them, and I know that. I mean, these days you can't like, oh, they're so obscure. Well, yes and no. I think most people, who are into more extreme metal have now found found out about them. But they can always need a few more listeners. So tell your friends about them. Are you people into black and tech death like Veil of Nath? I have not listened to it. I will do that until next week, I promise. Thanks for recommending it. Anyone in the chat that are familiar with this band? I love it when there's more suggestions coming. And as most of you know, I have like every Swedish person, I have a complex relationship to Denmark. And I also know that we have at least one Danish person in the chat. And the reason why we have a complex relationship is that we are sibling nations that's been, around for a long time, and battling each other, and then being siblings. Like the good sibling rivalry. And Denmark really... they made the Stockholm Bloodbath, which is... there's been a documentary about it now on Swedish television. The Swedes are like, fuck, they really got us then. Yeah, they cut off, the head of a few aristocrats in the good old days. And, we waged war and stuff. But we have this sibling rivalry. But when it comes to music, Denmark has not really been so up there. But now stuff is happening. Of course, I mean, there's this certain drummer from a quite famous metal band. He's Danish. And then you have fantastic stuff, which is Merciful Fate and King Diamond. And then you have Volbeat, which is sort of Total Darkness approach. Yes, we are fucking jealous. But the thing is that the Danish people drink beer all the time. Swedes know this. It's a fact. They have better beer. Generally, I think also the Danish people are a little bit happier, and that also pisses Swedes off, because we are not super happy. We're a little bit... but I mean, from the Viking ages and forward, Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, Scandinavian trio of countries that, are very similar. But there's new stuff coming. I mean, Myrkur, obviously. But also Solbrud, which is what I will play next as I close this thing. Because Solbrud is also now signed to Eisenwald, which is Aina, the label that I'm also working with, and that Netherbird is affiliated to. And I think Solbrud is, you will hear it, really captivating band that I think has a really great... path ahead of them. We try to pretend it's Danish. Well, Volbeat. Volbeat is... I don't even know. It's like the Nickelback of good music. It's like it started out interesting. It was some sort of the human instrument. It was sort of fun because it was like extreme drums to something different. But they have a song called The Garden's Tale, one of the really early ones that I really like, and I think they had something, but then they had huge commercial success and they managed to actually pull it off. I mean, many bands would never be able to do what they did. I mean, they went from this small underground band. I've only seen them once on a very small venue in Gothenburg, and from there they catapulted into international stardom, and they actually, I mean, they're still around, so hats off. But it's really not my kind of music anymore. But there was something there. So, but I was intrigued in the beginning, and then I really lost track. I don't know. I don't even know what they're doing anymore. But they are a musical success. So I think WADA, yeah, quite sick band. I agree. And a band that, if COVID didn't happen, we were supposed to play with them, was it May last year? It's just, it was, I think even we were supposed to do it earlier, and then it got postponed and then postponed, and now it's like, yeah, whatever. I really like them, and I think it's actually, they're I don't know. I've said this before about them, but they feel, it feels familiar when you hear it, but it's still something new. Ellende, also cool. Yes, keep names coming here. Grift, fantastic band. I had the pleasure of working with them. They're not only fantastic musicians; they're also fantastic people. So modest and so easy to deal with. I tried to get Eric to join, but he's not so into live streaming shit. He's old school, so he's not gonna do that. But I will never stop supporting Gift. I think it's fantastic. Old Growth, Waldigeflüster, yeah, good stuff all the way there. We'll see if my stream gets killed, because what I'm gonna play with Solbrud is from a coming live album. It's a fairly long song, so I'll put it on before I wrap this up. Earthshine, good suggestions. Really. Imperator, no, actually I don't. Also, I've got stuff to check up after today's stream. I like that, and it's also, this is what happens when you put music up there, is that everybody starts thinking, but this and that, and that's how we. This is why the metal underground will never be, we don't have the marketing budgets of the big labels and the big bands, but we have community, so we care a lot about the bands we discover, and we pay it forward. And this is why it's so much easier for a metal band to be established and get heard, because people actually talk about the music in a way that other genres don't. So that we got that going for us, which is great. But I will definitely listen to it. So if you have any other suggestions, also feel free to share. I'm gonna wrap this puppy up by playing Solbrud, and it's a fairly long live clip. And Talheim, I actually need to check it out. I'm so bad at what labels bands are on. Ablaze My Sorrow, thoughts. Loved Ablaze My Sorrow in the days of yore, because it's very this mellow, deathy thing. I haven't heard the recent stuff, so I can't say anything about that. But they're one of these bands that I think have done quite some interesting songs, at least. But it's been so long since I heard them, actually. I have them somewhere. But actually, I'm renovating at home, so my CD shelf is gone. Life is tough. What do you think about them, Alex? And I will, meanwhile, just prepare this here stuff. I'm so modern. Livsleda. I like Livsleda, but it's not fully to my solar plexus yet. But I think it's a very interesting release, and I've been listening to it a bit, but I need more time with it. You really like them, the second and third album. Yep. Fuck. I can't remember the name. And one of the albums, I at least I have one or two. The first one, surely, and I think the second one. They were never as big, and partly I think because they sort of disappeared. But they got some recognition. I think they were on No Fashion Records. Every good band was fucking No Fashion. But I will actually dig it up. Maybe they're on Spotify even. Vodus, I fucking love Vodus. It's one of the best bands. They're fairly new, but you couldn't tell when you hear it. It sounds, old school, but not dated. It sounds, new and fresh, but it also sounds very familiar. I really like Vodus. I don't think there is a connectivity problem, but I don't know. Obliteration from Norway. I haven't heard. We'll check out. I will actually go through this chat afterwards and make sure to listen to all the suggestions. Am I still in time? Well, no. You're 1 hour late. Ricardo, for fuck's sake. But you get to hear Solbrud. Because I'm going to wrap this up. And I'm going to do so by playing Solbrud. Because I think it's really a band that I'm, one of these bands. And especially them being Danish also shows that so much cool stuff is coming also from Denmark, and there are, of course, and always been good Danish bands, but it's not been one of these big scenes. But I think as soon as you get a few bands that get the recognition, that tends to lead to more people, more bands coming. So that's going to be interesting. Bleg also interesting, but I have to admit. I have only heard one song, I think. So I need to remedy that. You guys just show that I don't know all the music out there, which is fine. But I will get to know a little bit more of it. I will now try to play Solbrud. The chat will still be ongoing, and I will be there. And it's a long song, so we can still chat for a bit. But let me see if I can get this to go.